Evan Carter drove down the empty road late at night, the cold wind hitting his truck as he yawned. It had been a long day at work. The town was quiet, dark, and almost asleep. But as he crossed the old bridge, something strange caught his eyes. Something small sitting under the broken street. At first, he thought it was a lost dog, but when he slowed down, he saw it was a child. A small girl. An alien girl. Her skin had soft glowing lines like silver veins. Her hair was thin and messy. Her clothes were torn, dirty, and too big for her small body. She hugged her knees close and shivered like she had been sitting there for hours, and when she looked up at the bright headlights, she didn't look surprised. She looked scared. Evan stopped the truck and stepped out slowly. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked softly. The girl flinched hard. She pressed her hands against her head like she expected him to hit her. Evan froze. Something was deeply wrong. No child should react like that. "It's all right," he said again. "I won't hurt you." She peeked at him with large silver eyes full of fear. Her voice was small, shaky, and broken. "Please, don't send me back." Evan's heart dropped. "Send you back where?" But the girl only shook her head again and again, whispering the same words like she had said them 1,000 times. "Please." "Not the patrol. Please, no." Evan looked around. The road was empty. The town was far. There was no sign of any patrol. Why was she terrified of them? Why was she alone at night? "What's your name?" Evan asked gently. She hesitated, hugging herself tighter. "Ari," she whispered. Her voice cracked like she was scared even to say her own name. Evan crouched down slowly, keeping his voice calm. "Ari, I want to help you. You look cold and I can take you somewhere safe." Ari stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached out her small hand, but pulled back the second he moved. She was ready to bolt, like a hunted animal. Evan realized that something terrible had happened to this child. He finally held out his jacket. "You don't have to come with me if you don't want to, but please, take this. You're freezing." Ari stared at the jacket like she had never been offered kindness before. After a long pause, she slowly took it with shaking fingers. Evan opened the passenger door. "If you want, you can sit inside, just to warm up." Ari moved slowly, step by step, like she expected a trap. But she climbed into the truck, curled in the corner, and wrapped herself tightly in the jacket. Evan began driving again, carefully and quietly. Every time the truck made a noise, Ari jumped out. When they reached his home, the porch light turned on. His mother, Margaret, opened the door, confused. She was in her old sweater, her gray hair tied back. "Evan, what happened? Why are you?" Then she saw the alien girl in the truck. Margaret covered her mouth in shock. "Oh heavens, she's just a child." Ari stared at Margaret with wide eyes. For a second, something strange happened. She stepped back slowly, studying Margaret's face like she recognized something in her, something soft, something warm. Margaret's heart softened at once. There was no fear in her, only deep worry. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "you're safe. Come inside." But Ari did not move. She looked at Evan, then at Margaret, unsure. It was like she had never seen a kind human woman in her life. Maybe she hadn single quotes. Evan helped her out carefully. Margaret guided Ari into the warm living room, wrapping her in a blanket. Ari sat on the edge of the couch, her legs pulled in, watching. Everything like she was ready to run. Margaret brought her warm soup. Ari looked at it, confused, then smelled it like she wasn't used to cooked food. She ate fast. Too fast. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "My God, this child is starving." Before Evan could answer, a loud beep came from the security monitor. Evan walked to the screen. His face turned pale. Unknown life forms detected outside the house. Multiple. Moving fast. Someone was searching for Ari, and they had found the house. Ari's spoon fell from her hand. Her whole body froze. They are here, she whispered. They came for me. Asterisk. The security alarm kept beeping, and Evan tapped the screen again, hoping it was a mistake. But the sensors showed the same warning: unknown life forms detected. 4 figures. Approaching fast. Evan's chest tightened. Margaret looked at him with fear in her eyes. Who's out there? She whispered. Evan shook his head. I don't know. But they're not human. Ari curled deeper into the couch, shaking violently. She grabbed the blanket like it could hide her from the world. They found me, she whispered again. I should have kept walking. I should not have stayed. I put you in danger. Her voice broke as tears filled her silver eyes. Margaret immediately knelt in front of her and held her small hands. Sweetheart, listen to me. Nothing is your fault. You are safe here. But Ari kept shaking. Her breaths were sharp and fast, almost like she could not breathe. Evan locked the doors and turned off the living room lights. The house became dim, only the soft lamp near the couch glowing. He sat across from Ari, speaking gently. Ari, who are these people? Why are they following you? Ari hugged her knees again. They are not people. They are collectors. Margaret frowned. Collectors? What does that mean? Ari hesitated, her lower lip trembling. Then she spoke slowly. Like each word hurt. They take children, alien children. They sell them for work, for power. Or worse, they want me because... She stopped, choking. Margaret rubbed her back softly. It's okay, dear. You're safe. You don't have to say everything now. But Ari shook her head. She wanted them to know. They want me because my light is strong, she whispered. Too strong for my age. They made me use it for their machines. They hurt me when I failed, and when I tried to run. They marked me. She pulled her torn cloak aside. On her shoulder was a faint burned symbol. Margaret gasped softly. Oh. Honey, Ari continued. I ran. I hid days, maybe weeks. I don't know. But I knew they would find me. They always find me. Suddenly, a loud thump hit the window. Margaret jumped. Ari screamed and hid behind her. Evan ran to the curtains and peeked outside. Dark shapes moved between trees. Not close enough to see clearly, but close enough to know they were not normal. They were searching, and getting closer. Evan shut the curtain. We need to keep her quiet and calm. But Ari was breathing too fast. Her small fingers dug into the blanket. Don't let them take me, she whispered. They will break me. They will break my light again. Margaret held Ari close, rocking her gently like a mother comforting a baby. No one is taking you. Not while I'm here. The room fell silent, except for Ari's quiet sobs. After a moment, Margaret softly asked, Ari, where is your real family? Do you have anyone looking for you? Ari didn't answer. She simply lowered her head. Evan spoke gently. You can tell us. We want to help. Ari shook slowly. My family is gone. They were taken too. I ran away. I am the only one left. Margaret felt her heart break. This tiny girl had suffered more than any child should. Then something strange happened. The lamp beside them flickered. The heater buzzed. The air in the room became warmer. A faint glow appeared around Ari's hands. She gasped and hid them quickly. No, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Evan's eyes widened. Ari? What is that? Ari cried harder. My light. It comes out when I am scared. I try to control it, but I can't. Margaret cupped her face gently. You're not a danger, sweetheart. You're just frightened. No, Ari whispered. When the collectors see the glow, they know where I am. They can track it. Evan looked around the room. So they already know she's here. A soft tapping sound came from the front door. Not knocking. Not human. Margaret froze. Evan put a finger to his lips. A second tapping. Then a slow scraping sound along the wood. Ari hid behind Margaret, shaking so hard the blanket almost fell off. They always tap first, she whispered. It means they are testing the walls. Evan swallowed hard. Then we need to think fast. Margaret tightened her hold around Ari. We are not giving her to them. Ari looked up at her with wide, trembling eyes. Why are you helping me? I am not human. Margaret gently brushed her hair away from her face. Because you are a child. And children deserve love, she smiled softly. And somehow, I already care for you. Ari stared at her surprised, confused, almost hopeful. Then the tapping outside stopped. Silence filled the house. Evan checked the monitor. Again, the life forms were no longer moving. They were standing still, waiting. Watching. And they were not leaving. The night felt endless. Evan stayed near the window, watching the dark shapes outside. They did not move, but their silence was worse than footsteps. It felt like they were waiting for a mistake, waiting for Ari to slip. Inside the house, Margaret kept Ari close, wrapping another blanket around her small shoulders. Ari was still trembling, her eyes fixed on the floor, afraid to lift her head. Sweetheart, Margaret whispered, you're safe here. You hear me? Safe. Ari nodded, but her hands were shaking too much to hide the fear inside her. Evan came back to the living room. They're still out there, but they're keeping distance, like they're watching instead of breaking in. Ari's voice was tiny. They watch first. They study. They wait until your hope becomes small, then they come. Margaret felt tears rise again. She pulled Ari gently into her arms. To her surprise, Ari did not resist. She leaned against Margaret like she hadn't been held in years. Listen to me, Margaret said softly. You are not alone anymore, not as long as you're with us. Ari looked up slowly, her silver eyes shiny with confusion. Why? Why do you say kind things to me? Margaret brushed her thumb across Ari's cheek. Because you deserve kindness. Ari whispered. I never had a human mother. Margaret's heart squeezed. Well, now you have someone who cares. A soft warmth spread through the room as Ari's hands glowed faintly again. Not bright, not dangerous, just warm, like a small lantern. She looked down nervously. Sorry. It happens when I feel something. What are you feeling? Margaret asked gently. Ari hesitated. Safe, I think. I think I feel safe. Margaret hugged her tighter. Evan sat across from them, studying Ari carefully. Hurry. Your light. What exactly can it do? Ari swallowed. It can make shields, energy shields. Enough to protect a room. Maybe a small village if I grow older. That is why they want me. They want to sell me to leaders who need power. Margaret closed her eyes. This child was carrying a burden no child should carry. Ari continued, voice soft and afraid. They tested me every day. If my shield was weak, they hurt me. If it was strong, they tried to make it stronger. I ran away when they stopped watching. But I didn't know where to go. Margaret gently lifted Ari's chin. You came to us. That means you had hope. Ari blinked. I don't know what hope feels like, Margaret smiled. That feels like this, a warm home, a soft blanket, someone who listens, someone who cares. Ari slowly touched the blanket around her shoulders, as if testing if it was real. Then she whispered a little louder than before. I want to learn hope. Those words broke Margaret in the best way. She kissed Ari's forehead, something she hadn't done to a child in years. Ari froze for a second, then slowly leaned into it like she never wanted to move again. But the peace didn't last long. The lights in the living room flickered. A faint hum echoed through the walls. Evan checked the monitor again. The life forms moved, he said quietly. They're circling the house. Ara's body tensed immediately. They are searching for a weak point. Margaret stood up, holding Ari's hand firmly. Enough running, enough fear. There has to be a way to keep you safe. They won't stop, Ari whispered. They never stop. Evan paced, thinking fast. We need help from someone who understands alien groups, someone who knows these collectors. There was only one person he could call, an old alien contact named Juno. She was secretive, but she knew the darkest corners of alien society. Evan grabbed his communicator and stepped into the hallway. Margaret stayed with Ari, rubbing her back gently. Ari stared at Margaret for a long moment, as if memorizing her face. You look like, Ari whispered. Like someone I saw long ago. Margaret tilted her head. Who? Someone from your family? Ari nodded slowly. Yes. She smiled the same way you do. She also brushed my hair like this. A small tear rolled down her cheek. I lost her before the collectors came. Margaret's voice cracked. Oh, sweetheart. Without thinking, Margaret pulled the girl fully into her arms. Ari held on tightly, gripping the sweater like she never wanted to let go. For the first time, Ari whispered something she had not said in years. Don't leave me. Margaret hugged her tighter. Never. You hear me? Never. At that same moment, Evan rushed back in, his face pale. Mom, Ari. Pack what you can. We have to leave right now. Margaret stood up, confused. Why? What did Juno say? Evan swallowed hard. She said if the collectors are here in person, then Ari isn't just valuable. He looked at Ari with fear and shock. She said Ari is the last child of her bloodline, and the collectors will do anything to take her back. Ari's glow flickered in fear. And outside, the shadows moved closer. The house that once felt warm now felt too small, too fragile, too exposed. Evan moved quickly from room to room, gathering jackets, a flashlight, and a tazna. Few small bags. Margaret helped Ari put on warmer clothes. Though the young alien girl trembled the whole time, Ari's hands glowed faintly, not from fear alone, but from something deeper, something building inside her. Evan, Margaret whispered as she helped Ari with her shoes. Where do we go? We can't run forever. Evan shook his head. Juno said there's a place outside town, an old safe bunker used during early alien contact years. It's hidden under forest roots. But why would we trust Juno? Margaret asked. Evan hesitated. Because she hates the collectors. More than anyone. They took her brother years ago. Margaret nodded slowly. It wasn't much comfort, but it was all they had. Ari clung to Margaret's sleeve. The collectors will smell my light. They always do. They track it when it grows. Margaret knelt down to face her. Sweetheart, what does your light mean? Why is it so important? Ari swallowed hard. My people called it shield light. It can protect those I love. But when my family died, I lost control. It comes out when I feel scared or sad or safe. I don't know how to stop it. You don't have to stop it, Margaret whispered. You only have to stay with us. But Ari shook her head. If they take me, they will hurt you too. Margaret placed a warm hand on her cheek. I don't care about danger. I care about you. Ari stared at her, stunned as if she had never heard words like that before. Suddenly, a loud mechanical growl echoed from outside. Something heavy slammed against the backyard fence. Evan rushed to the monitor. He froze. Mom! Ari, look at this. On the screen, 4 tall, shadowy figures stood in the backyard. They weren't human. They weren't even close. Their limbs were long and armored. Their helmets shined with red sensors that swept across the yard, like scanners. Collectors. Real ones. One of them raised an arm. The device on its wrist pulsed with a dull red glow. Ari grabbed Margaret's hand. They're scanning for my heat. We need to leave. Now, Evan said firmly. He guided them through the back door, where a narrow side path led toward the woods. The cold night air hit their faces, and Ari shivered harder. Margaret wrapped her arm around her protectively. They ran. Quietly, trying not to step on the broken branches. The sound behind them grew louder, metal feet crushing through the backyard, scanners humming, voices speaking in a language Evan didn't understand. They are closer. Ari whispered. They smell fear. Margaret held her tighter. Then, stay close to me. Don't look back. But Ari looked back anyway. Her eyes widened. They brought a tracker beast. Evan spun around. A what? A growl echoed through the night, low, rumbling, hungry. A shape moved between the trees, large. And fast. Ari couldn't breathe. It smells my light. It will chase us until it catches me. Margaret took Ari's face in both hands. Listen to me. You are not alone. We will protect you, the same way you would protect us. Ari's small voice trembled. But I am too weak. My shield breaks when I'm scared. Then be brave. Margaret said softly, for just one moment. Those words did something no training, no punishment, no torture ever did for Ari. They gave her courage. The tracker beast came closer, its red eyes glowing in the dark. Evan held a metal rod, ready to swing. Margaret positioned Ari behind her. Ari, Evan whispered, can you make a small shield? Just small enough to hide our heat. Ari bit her lip. Why, I can try. She closed her eyes. Her hands glowed softly golden instead of silver. The air warmed. A faint shimmer formed around them like a thin bubble. The beast stepped into the clearing. It sniffed the ground, growled, then turned left and ran another direction entirely. It didn't see them. It didn't smell them. Ari had done it. She collapsed into Margaret's arms. I did it. I made a shield. Margaret held her tight. You saved us, sweetheart. But Evan looked toward the deeper forest where more shadows moved. They're not giving up. That was just the beast. The collectors are still coming. He pointed ahead. Juno's bunker is close. If we reach it, we might survive the night. Ari took Margaret's hand, her voice barely a whisper. Will you stay with me, even in the dark? Margaret squeezed her hand. Always. Together, the three ran into the deeper forest, with danger closing in behind them, and the collectors were getting faster. The forest grew darker and colder as Evan, Margaret, and Ari pushed through the thick branches. The collectors' voices echoed behind them, sharp, metallic, and much too close. Evan kept looking over his shoulder. We don't have much time. Juno said the bunker is hidden under twisted roots, about half a mile from here. Margaret held Ari's hand tightly as they walked. The little alien girl stumbled often. Her small legs shook with exhaustion, but she didn't stop. Not now, not when she finally had people who cared for her. People who didn't treat her like a tool. Suddenly the ground shook, just once, but strong enough that all three froze. Ari gasped. They brought ground scanners. They can feel movement through the soil. Evan cursed under his breath. We need to move faster. They pushed forward, but Ari slowed again. Her breathing grew sharp, painful. Margaret knelt and touched her forehead. She's burning up, Evan. Ari's glow flickered weakly. My light is too tired. I used too much to hide us. Margaret hugged her gently. You did more than enough, sweetheart. But Ari shook her head, tears forming. If my light goes out, the collectors will catch us. They want my power. They want my bloodline. Margaret looked into her frightened eyes. Ari, listen to me. You are not a weapon. You are a child, and we are not leaving you. Ari trembled as she whispered, Why? Why are you so kind to me? I don't understand it. Margaret wiped her tears. Because kindness is what you always deserved. A rustling sound cut through the air, branches snapping, leaves scattering. Evan spotted a shadow moving fast between trees. They're here. He grabbed a fallen branch and lifted it like a weapon. It wasn't much, but it was something. Mom, take Ari, I'll stall them. Margaret shook her head fiercely. No, we stay together. Before Evan could argue, the communicator on his belt buzzed. He tapped. Juno's voice came through, low and tense. Run north. They're closing in from the south. And Evan, protect the child. She's more important than you know. We're trying, Evan whispered back. But we need to know, why is she the last of her bloodline? Juno hesitated, then spoke. Her people were guardians. They protected entire planets with their shield light. She is the last one born with full power. If the collectors take her, they will control half the galaxy. Evan felt his stomach twist. He looked at Ari, who clung to Margaret, confused and scared. She's just a child, he whispered. Exactly, Juno replied. And children trust, children love. That is why her power responds to emotion. It grows when she bonds with someone. Evan froze. What do you mean, bonds? Her shield is strongest when she feels safe, when she feels protected. When she feels loved. Evan slowly turned toward Margaret. She was holding Ari in her arms. Ari's glow had changed softer, warmer dot almost like sunlight. A soft hum filled the air as tiny sparks danced across Ari's fingertips. Margaret held her closer, and Ari's glow brightened. Margaret whispered, I love you, sweetheart. You're safe with me. Ari blinked up at her, confused. Love, that word, feels warm. Margaret kissed the top of her head. That's because you're finally feeling it. In that moment, Ari's light expanded, a small shimmering shield around her and Margaret. Evan stared in shock. Her power, it reacts to you. But before they could understand it fully, a deafening roar echoed through the forest. The tracker beast lunged into the clearing, red eyes locked on Ari. Margaret shielded the girl with her arms. Evan rushed forward with the branch, but the beast was massive, too fast, too strong. Ari let out a small scream. Her glow exploded outward. A bright golden shield burst from her hands, surrounding all three of them. The beast crashed into it with a loud crack and flew backward, landing hard on the ground. Ari fell to her knees, panting. I didn't mean to push so hard. Margaret lifted her up. You saved us, again. Evan looked at the trembling golden shield around them, still shimmering like warm air on a summer day. Ari, your power is incredible. Ari shook her head. It is only strong when I feel close to someone. She placed a small hand on Margaret's chest. When I feel her heart. Margaret hugged her tightly, tears falling. You will always have my heart. But their moment of safety vanished as more shadows appeared in the trees tall, armored, and deadly. Collectors. Evan grabbed Ari's hand. The bunker is close. If we get inside, we can protect her. Margaret lifted Ari into her arms. Hold on, sweetheart. Ari wrapped her glowing hands around Margaret's neck. I trust you, she whispered. And together, they ran toward the bunker, while the collectors closed in like wolves. The forest felt alive with danger. Every branch seemed to move, every shadow seemed to breathe. Evan ran ahead, searching for the hidden bunker entrance. Margaret followed close behind, holding Ari tightly in her arms. The girl's faint golden glow lit the path but also made her easier to track. Behind them, the collectors' mechanical steps grew louder. Their voices echoed in sharp, cold tones, calling Ari's name like a command. Ari of the Luminari bloodline, return, you belong to us. Ari buried her face into Margaret's shoulder. Please don't let them take me. Margaret kissed the top of her head. Never, I promised you, I won't ever leave you. Evan pushed aside thick roots and finally found it, an old metal hatch buried under twisted tree roots. It was rusty and covered in dirt. This is it, he said. Juno was right. Help me open it. Margaret passed Ari into his arms and then helped lift the heavy hatch. It groaned loudly as it opened, too loudly, the collectors heard. Red scanner. Lights flashed through the trees. "Hurry!" Evan whispered. He handed Ari down to Margaret, who climbed into the bunker first. Evan followed, pulling the hatch closed just as a red beam shot across the forest floor above them. Darkness swallowed them, except for Ari's soft golden glow. Inside the bunker, the air was cold and smelled like old metal. Wires hung from the ceiling. Broken screens flickered on the wall. The bunker hadn't been used for decades, but its walls were thick, strong, built to survive even alien attacks. Evan locked the hatch from inside. "We're safe for now," he said, breathing hard, but Ari shook her head weakly. "No bunker is safe from the collectors. They know how to break walls." Margaret knelt down and held Ari's face gently. "Sweetheart, listen. You're not alone anymore. You have us." Ari looked into her eyes, trembling. "But I can't hold a shield long when I am tired. My light feels heavy." Margaret wrapped her arms around her. "We'll find a way. We always do." A soft hum echoed through the bunker walls, deep, vibrating, cold. Evan recognized the sound instantly. They found us. Metal scraped against the hatch. A heavy thud followed. The collectors were testing the bunker's strength. Ari jolted, fear radiating through her body. Margaret held her tighter. Evan moved toward the wall, pulling open a control panel. "If I can power the internal shield, we might slow them down." But the wires inside were old, frayed, and dead. "There's no power source," he muttered. "The shield system is useless." Ari looked at him, eyes wide with fear and guilt. "I can power it." Evan shook his head. "Ari, that could drain you." "I know," she whispered. The hatch above them started to bend inward. Dust fell from the ceiling. Margaret felt Ari's tiny hands grip her sweater tightly. "Ari," Margaret said softly, "look at me." Ari did, her silver eyes trembling. "You don't have to prove anything. Not to them. Not to us." Ari shook her head. "I want to protect you. You are my heart family." Margaret felt tears sting her eyes. Ari had no proper word for love, but she was trying. Slowly, Ari placed her glowing hands on the old bunker shield controls. Her light, weak and flickering, spread through the wires like liquid gold. The bunker walls glowed faintly. For a moment, the pounding above slowed, but Ari's glow dimmed quickly. Her legs wobbled. Margaret rushed to her. "Stop, you'll collapse." Ari shook her head. "I can still do more." Another heavy strike shook the ceiling. Dust rained down again. Evan grabbed a metal rod for protection. The collectors were breaking through. Ari cried out, pushing her small hands harder into the wires. Golden light filled the bunker, beautiful but unstable. Her voice trembled. "I'm not strong enough." Margaret pulled her away from the panel and wrapped her tightly in her arms. Ari collapsed against her chest, exhausted. "You're strong where it matters," Margaret whispered. "You're brave, you're loving. And that is why your power works." Ari sobbed softly. "I'm scared." Margaret kissed her forehead. "I know, sweetheart. So am I." Cracked. The metal hatch bent inward. A collector's claw pierced through. Curling, searching. Evan positioned himself in front of Margaret and Ari. "If they come in, I'll hold them off." "Get behind me." "No," Ari cried, trying to stand. "Don't get hurt for me." Evan looked back at her. "You're family now. Family protects each other." Ari's eyes glowed faintly again, warm, golden, trembling. Her power reacted to love, to fear, to bonds. Margaret squeezed her hand. "Sweetheart, can you try one more time? Not because you are forced, but because you want to protect your family." Ari looked from Margaret to Evan, then closed her eyes. Her small chest rose and fell with a deep breath. Collectors tore open the hatch. Ari stood. Golden light flared brighter than ever. Her shield exploded outward just as the first collector dropped into the bunker. The final stand had begun. A blinding golden light filled the bunker as a reshield burst forward. The first collector, tall and armored, tried to push through, but the shield struck its chest with a force none of them expected. The creature flew backward, crashing against the bunker wall with a metallic scream. Evan stared in shock. "Ari, how did you do that?" Ari trembled, her small hands glowing like stars. "I don't know, it feels stronger now. Like something inside me woke up." Margaret held her shoulders gently. "Sweetheart, look at me. Why is it stronger?" Ari pressed her hand to Margaret's chest. "Because my heart is here, with you." Margaret's eyes filled with tears, but another crash shook the bunker. More collectors were dropping through the broken hatch. Their armor glowed red with threat. Their scanners locked onto Ari. "Target found," one hissed. "Retrieve the Luminari child." Evan stepped forward with a metal rod. "Over my dead body." The collector swung an arm at him, but Ari moved instinctively. "No." Her shield shot outward again, bigger, wider, brighter, slamming the attacker into the floor so hard the bunker shook. Margaret looked at Ari in awe. "Your power, it reacts to your feelings." Ari nodded weakly. "When I want to protect someone, it grows." Another collector lunged toward them. Ari raised her hands, but this time the shield flickered. She gasped, "It's too much, I can't, I'm too tired." Margaret quickly knelt in front of her. "Ari, listen. You don't need to do this alone. You have us." Evan rushed back to them and put his hand over Margaret's, joining the circle around Ari. Ari stared at them with wide, trembling eyes. "You're with me?" "Always," Evan said. "Forever," Margaret whispered. A warmth bloomed around them, soft at first, then growing stronger. Ari felt something she had never felt before. She belonged. She was loved. She had a family. Her glow changed. It wasn't frightened anymore. It wasn't forced. It was pure emotion. "Hold my hands," she whispered. Margaret and Evan did. Ari's eyes widened as a wave of golden light shot from her body, not sharp, not violent, but strong and full of life. The collectors froze. Their scanners flickered. Their armor dimmed. Ari stepped forward, her voice small but fierce. "I choose my family. You cannot take me." The shield expanded again, filling the bunker with warm gold. It washed over the collectors like sunlight, melting ice. Their armor overheated, sparking. One dropped to its knees. Another fell backward. Powerless. Within seconds, all of them were disabled, lying on the floor, unable to move. Ari's legs wobbled. She collapsed, but Margaret caught her instantly. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" Ari's glow faded into a soft shimmer. "I'm tired, but I'm safe." Evan contacted Juno immediately. "The collectors are down, but we need someone to take them away." "I'm sending a special unit now," Juno replied. "And Evan, protect the child. You saved more lives than you know." Later, the special unit arrived, securing the collectors and taking them far away to a prison designed for alien criminals. When the bunker was finally safe, Evan carried Ari outside. She rested her head on his shoulder. Too tired to walk. The morning sun broke through the trees, soft, warm, peaceful. Ari squinted at the sunlight. "It feels nice." "I never saw a sunrise before." Margaret stroked her hair. "This is just the first of many." Ari smiled for the first time. They took her home, wrapped her in blankets, and let her rest. The government visited later that day. Evan feared they might try to take Ari away for testing. But instead, the officer extended a small device toward him. "This grants you full guardianship of Ari. She belongs with your family." Margaret's breath caught in her throat. "Guardianship? You mean we can keep her?" "Yes," the officer said. "Her safety depends on a stable, loving home. And it seems she already has one." Ari peeked out from Margaret's lap, eyes glowing softly. "I can stay?" Margaret pulled her into a tight hug. You are ours now, our little girl. Ari's voice trembled. I have a mother? Margaret nodded, tears falling. Yes, sweetheart. And you always will. Ari climbed fully into her arms and whispered softly, Mother heart, I found home. Margaret held her close, her heart full. Evan smiled, watching the two most important people in his life. Welcome to the family, Ari. Outside, the sky was bright and peaceful. The collectors were gone. The galaxy was safe. A small alien girl had found love. And one human family had grown bigger than they ever imagined. Human kindness had changed destiny again, HFY.